Let you kids get to bed, I get the storybook.
I can't fucking wait, Elon Musk said excitedly as he strolled into the basement laboratory of his secretive test site, tucked away on a remote 50-acre farm near the hamlet of Sag Harbor, New York, which comprises Long Island's Hamptons area. The quirky business magnate asked his most trusted engineer, Jason, if his most anticipated project was finally ready for a test launch, and the geeky architect reluctantly nodded his head north to south slowly. Ever since the debut of the classic film Back to the Future and its subsequent follow-ups, parts 2 and 3, a teenage Elon fantasized about bringing a vehicle in the movies to life, and now at the age of 51, he was finally about to witness his dream come true. Around the same time that he founded his SpaceX program back in 2006, Musk also launched a top-secret initiative called M.I.T.T, which is short for Musk Industries 3000. Though its 27 engineers that were forced to take an oath of secrecy took the acronym to mean Musk Industries Time Travel. From that year onward, a tedious amount of time was spent, along with a substantial amount of liquidity, to build a vessel that allows a person to travel from one point in time to another. Within the past decade and a half, 3 of the developers lost their lives during trial missions, and the possibility of forward time movement still evaded the program. But by spring 2023, they were able to successfully figure out how to travel back in time. The first vehicle that M.I.T.T used as the vessel that would permit time travel was a 2017 Tesla Model X. It was in this machine that 2 of the engineers were horribly incinerated one summer afternoon after the oversized thrusters attached to the rear of the vessel suddenly exploded during a trial run. Elon appeared visibly saddened by the news and made sure that their families were well compensated for their losses, but inside, he really didn't care about the men and looked at them as casualties of scientific war. Learning from this mishap, the engineers went back to the drawing board and a few years later decided to switch over to the Tesla Roadster instead, only to lose another engineer in a time warp during an attempt at going forward in time. Elon was pissed off that he was losing another engineer because it took him a half a decade to handpick these men before even launching the program. As for the guy, he was still alive at the moment, although stuck in a portion of time unknown to man, which meant that he would eventually die from lack of food and water, which is what happened due to the team being unable to rescue him. After that third loss, the business mogul held a conference with his remaining engineers and introduced them to 4 machinists from SpaceX. The plan now was to incorporate the SpaceX package into the Tesla Roadster prototype. After 2 more years of planning, the team finally reached successful completion, and as soon as Elon received the call during a meeting with executives at Tesla headquarters, he hopped on his private jet as quickly as possible and sat in ecstasy as his mind raced during the 5-hour flight from San Jose Airport to Long Island. All right, who wants to test it out first? Eli looked around the lab at a handful of engineers who were on duty that day. The 2 older gentlemen looked at their boss hesitantly before their adventurous colleague named Ricky chirped out his willingness to be Elon's next guinea pig. Within the next several minutes, every man in the room wished the cocky Boston native the best as they all swept thoughts of what happened to the previous volunteers out of their minds. The humongous farm was surveilled by a high-tech security system consisting of 92 cameras, motion sensors, and patrol drones, all of which aided in keeping Elon's project a secret from snooping eyes like the nosy-ass U.S. government.
Now continuous, took pockets back in this book. Now continuous, they tried to kill me in Vegas back in 96. But I survived that blick down the price of 10.
Y'all need to go read this new book that continues. This book is fire, bro.
The dude who wrote this, I think his name is Kiki David, is a freaking genius. I'm back. I'm the mother-loving president, so they gotta do what I tell them to do. Go get the book. It's out now at these links. West Side 2022, 2023, and for life.
After Jason positioned the Tesla time machine outside on a makeshift runway, a cocky Ricky blurted out jokingly that he was about to go back to 63 and save his fellow Bostonian JFK from a bullet to the brain, and quickly stifled his laughter after receiving a venomous look from his boss, who reminded him that the number one rule he has set forth in backward time travel is never to alter an event that has taken place in history, nor attempt to sway the outcome of a future event, should Elon's team ever figure out how to travel forward in time. After a few more minutes of pre-flight inspection, Ricky was ready for takeoff, which was simply programming the machine to take the passenger back in time to a specific date. After Musk made the decision to send his engineer back to a deserted area in the San Pete County plains of Utah on January 1st, 2012, with stern instructions to come right back, Ricky started up the roadster and braced as the twin cold gas thrusters fired up as the sleek machinery steered itself down the runway, reaching 3 G-force in mere seconds. Ricky, an average gym goer, tensed his muscles as he lay sight on fast-moving bright colors that flashed around the Tesla as it zoomed through space and time, finally stopping, or rather appearing in the middle of the Utah wilderness on a bitterly cold afternoon. "Oh shit, it actually works," Ricky shouted out as if he had a passenger with him. As crafty as his colleagues and he were, they hadn't been able to find an answer as to how to get the time machine to allow communication between time movement. They had already tried using their cell phones to no avail during the failed mission of their third deceased teammate. For this reason, Ricky couldn't contact the boss to share the good news, but then he realized that it didn't matter because his instructions were to come right back to the year 2023 anyway, in which he did. As the coupe reappeared on the farm's runway, Ricky saw that the rest of the team were there, everyone cheering with excitement as the Tesla slowed its speed and coasted to a stop right in front of its creator. "Good job, girl," Elon barked out, rubbing the car's waxed hood as if he was petting a cuddly Saint Bernard. "Okay, Rick, hop out of there. It's my turn," he said hurriedly, rushing his engineer out of the driver's seat and replacing it with his average-sized body. As Elon conducted his pre-flight check, he noticed that the machine, which everyone agreed would be called M.I.T.T, wasn't in voice mode, so he activated it. "Hey, Rick, you forgot to activate the Alexa feature in this thing," he said as he told M.I.T.T to take him back to November 22, 1989. After promising the entire team that they all would get a chance to use the time machine after his return, the brilliant businessman fired up his long-awaited masterpiece and journeyed back to the 80s to actually watch the debut of the movie Back to the Future 2 on its opening night. He chose to land or appear in a patch of woodland in rural Pennsylvania, but close enough to hitch a ride to the nearby town of Scranton, after carefully hiding M.I.T.T and changing clothes into attire that wouldn't give away the fact that he had just traveled from the future. As the giddy Elon sat in the packed theater, he reveled at the faces of the moviegoers who were astonished by the futuristic gadgets in the movie, remembering his first time watching the flick back around age 18, and making a decision to bring those things to life one day. After returning to his farm, Elon kept his word and spent the next few days allowing each of his engineers to test drive the time machine until all 29 men got a chance to experience the joy of backward time travel. One of those men tried to hold it in, but illicit thoughts began creeping into his thought process, which were the beginnings of a plot to steal the time machine and duplicate it, selling those copies to the highest bidders, which would make Jason the richest man in the world. Before his departure to another business conference somewhere, Musk left his secret engineers with instructions to continue working on forward time travel and assured the team leaders that he would be checking in momentarily for progress reports. A few weeks had gone by, and now A few weeks had gone by, and a now obsessed Jason decided to obey that obsession by contacting potential bidders, primarily focusing on individuals out in the Middle East whose wealth came from the oil industry, which allowed them to be able to afford the astronomical price he was going to ask for a reproduced Tesla time machine. Are you out of your mind, my friend? Sheikh Omar Abdul Aziz asked incredulously as he fingered the volume up on his iPhone, hoping he misheard the American. You want $700 million per machine? Who would pay that much for a fucking car? The middle-aged monarch was part of the group of ruling families of the United Arab Emirates and had a knack for wheeling and dealing, being the chairman of his family's petroleum empire, which distributed oil to over 28 different countries. After going back and forth with a flustered Jason, who had already been rejected by several other potential buyers due to the absurd price tag, the slick-talking sheik was able to do what the others couldn't do, and that was talk Jason down on the cost. Okay, so $500 million, but I absolutely will go no lower than that, Jason barked into his phone's mouthpiece, not believing that he was agreeing to this price after making a promise to himself not to waver from the original asking price because he felt like the machine was worth what he was asking for it. On the other hand, he realized that he only had to sell a few more of the cars to become the wealthiest man on earth. Jason arranged to meet the sheik for a test run of the original Tesla time machine at his family's old dairy farm located in the upstate New York village of Whitney Point, which was the safest place he could think of to keep prying eyes away. Afterward, the oil tycoon will have his reproduced vessel delivered to him within 90 days. Jason had been planning for these moments and already set up a base out in rural Montana to begin working on the duplicate time machines he intended to sell. Being Elon's most trusted engineer is the only reason Jason was able to get away with his plot. No one else had the codes to the Sag Harbor Farm's elaborate security system except him and Musk. And just 2 days before he was to meet the sheik in his hometown, he put his plan into effect. In the wee hours on a Sunday morning when all of his co-workers were home asleep, the sneaky techie loaded the time machine on a U-Haul auto transport trailer, then carefully strapped it down and covered it up before shutting down the entire security system and hopping in his dusty Tahoe for points northwest. Damn it, Jason uttered to himself as the SUV's low gas level warning light dinged as he barreled down Interstate 278 West through the borough of Brooklyn. He was pissed because he had forgotten to fill his tank up the day before, which would have allowed him not to have to stop, which he didn't want to do with a $500 million car in tow. Having a Tesla out in public like this was cranking up his anxiety. Exiting the highway, the slide planner drove down a long boulevard until he saw the lights of a gas station in the near distance. Despite the time being past 3 a.m., there were a fair number of individuals walking the streets, most of whom looked like the unsavory type. As he pulled up to a pump, he reached for the keychain-sized can of pepper spray in his glove compartment and stuffed it in his pocket, before getting out to fill up his gas guzzler. Hey yo, son, the bread is running low. We need to boost into the car so we can get these bags back up, a stocky man in his 20s said to his taller friend as they strolled down the grimy sidewalk towards the 24 Hours Sunoco. Yo, bro, there go a lick right there, he replied, nodding his head towards Jason as he stood pumping gas into his Chevy while blabbering on his phone with his mother, who suffered from insomnia and was always up this time of night. Less than a second after ending the call, assuring her that he was definitely coming home for a few days, and in fact is on his way as they spoke, a large semi-automatic handgun was pressed to the back of his head. You already know what it is, white boy. Get in the back seat so my bro can tie you up, and if you try any funny shit, I'm gonna boom your ass. The stocky gangbanger who went by the name Drilly barked, using local slang meaning to shoot someone or shoot something, as he hopped in the driver's seat of the huge truck, tightening the red bandana that was wrapped around his head. His accomplice, a fellow New York blood gang member named 6'6", which indicated his height, used extension cords and gorilla tape to bound and gag a helpless Jason, who didn't even get a chance to whip out his pepper spray in hopes of thwarting the kidnapping and carjacking. As Drilly maneuvered the Tahoe across the bridges and into New Jersey, he established a destination after calling a business partner who owned a shabby warehouse out in a deserted area near a small town in the northern portion of the state. Drilly and his gang had been working with the man, an older Puerto Rican hustler from the Bronx named Jose, for several years and made good money bringing him cars they stole from around the city. After ending the quarrel, Drilly informed his cohort that Jose was down in the Dominican Republic on vacation, but gave them permission to use the warehouse until his return. As the hour-long drive ended, Drilly drove the truck through a tattered chain-link fence and up to a huge bay door leading into a big 2-story depot. After getting out and retrieving the door keys from the hiding spot Jose revealed to him, he drove the vehicles into the warehouse and closed the bay door. As soon as 6-6 ripped the tape from Jason's lips, he blurted out that he was rich and could pay the bandits $1 million if they let him go. Only expecting to get a few grand for the Tahoe and whatever else was on the auto trailer, both gangsters' eyeballs widened at the sound of so much money, which prompted them to demand that their victim come with them to his bank's nearest ATM so he could begin fulfilling that promise. Look here, guys. I don't have that much right now, but I will in the next few months. Jason spoke anxiously, not wanting to reveal that the machine on the trailer wasn't a car, but actually a real time machine that he was on the verge of selling. As he began to continue talking, Drilly punched him in the face with a wide right that knocked him to the ground, his horn-rimmed spectacles flying across the cavernous warehouse. Despite being Elon Musk's top engineer in the M.I.T.T program, which paid a comfortable salary, Jason only had $33,569 to his name because as quickly as he made his money, he would lose it thanks to a severe gambling problem he possessed. Hence the reason he wanted to become mega wealthy. Drilly was a man with zero tolerance for people who stall or play games, so he instructed 6-6 to shoot their prey so they could get rid of the body. Hold up, brother, don't shoot. The bloody dweeb pleaded with the lanky killer as he pulled out a Glock 21 handgun and pointed it at him. Pull that cover off of the car on the trailer and you'll see what I'm talking about, Jason cried hysterically, salty tears and mucus streaming into his mouth as he spoke. Motherfucker, this better be a Bugatti or some shit back here, Drilly yelled out in frustration as he stepped over and started removing the car cover from the Tesla Roadster. Both gangsters marveled at the modified auto and began discussing how much they should charge for a souped-up Tesla, since they assumed the rocket thrusters on the rear were modifications that aided in making the car go faster for racing purposes.